There we go. Okay. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. We have met compliance with official notifications. Roll call, please.
Brooke Taylor. Mike Meyer.
Here.
Steve Olson.
Here.
Ed Gallagher.
Here.
And Laura and.
Laura is on her way.
Sherman.
And-
I haven't heard from Steve.
Okay, I haven't either.
I haven't either.
And I'm here. Okay, this meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education held in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for comments by members of the public during the meeting as indicated on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to address the board on any of the topics included on tonight's agenda may do so by completing a public comment sign-up sheet and handing it to the deputy clerk up here. That'd be Ann. Comment should be focused on the items being considered by the board and should be restricted to no more than 3 minutes in length. With that, we'll move into the report of the superintendent.
I just have one informational item. Principal Parrish is coming to tell us about the first week of school. Northern Lights.
Great. Hi, everyone. Danielle Parrish, principal over at Northern Lights. And it hasn't even been a full week. We've had 3 very exciting days, but they started off great. The first day of school, we had Mayor Payne there visiting, greeting kids, and the kids were super excited. Right before the first day of school, we had our open house. Our classrooms averaged 80% participation. 80% of our families showed up on average in our classrooms, which was phenomenal. They were so excited to be there. Our enrollment this year at Northern Lights, we're up. It's looking good. I'm sure Jen is going to talk about it later, but we have added a 3K program at Northern Lights, and boy, those bodies are little. But it's super fun. Lunch the first day we have these little tiny chairs, and then there are 5th graders and 4th graders, but it's a good balance. It's good for the little ones to be eating with the big ones. Kids are having a great time. We're working really hard on our routines and expectations right now. Once we start remembering what it is to be a student in our school, then, we're going to start hitting the academics hard. There's 2 goals that Northern Lights is working on this year. One is attendance. After we looked at our attendance rates last year, it's clear that we need to improve our attendance at that building. So as a building, we're going to work on getting kids present so we can teach them. Our second goal that we're going to be working on this year over at Northern Lights is around our core instruction and the work that our teams are going to be doing at their PLCs, and how we're going to monitor our work that the PLCs are doing that's going to carry over to core instruction in math and reading, as we're going to be measuring our reading scores through district assessments, and we'll be using FastBridge and or our Ford exams for that. So I'm sure Kate will be sharing more about all the district's goals with you guys at some upcoming meetings. And then, finally, just the transition from due to our safety plan from our Safe and Responsive Schools, keeping the visitors not in the building, that is going very well. Our families actually have shared positive feedback. We have staff outside greeting families, and I think we had a half a dozen different kindergartners in tears this morning. It's only their second day. But it didn't take long once we got in the building. I think maybe there's a few more tears on the adult side than the kids side by the time we got to the classrooms. So that adjustment to what drop-off looks like has been going very smooth. And at the end of the day, all of our kids get picked up outside, and that's going very well. So it's been a really exciting step for a year.
It's really positive, and I'll say the first thing.
Very positive. Yeah, everyone's happy to be there.
Yeah.
So thank you.
All right, thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, yeah, I see there's no discussion and no action items, so that will move right into the committee agenda, starting off with the Personnel and Negotiations Committee with Mike.
Thanks, Mr. President. I have several action items and a discussion item, no informational items. Action item number 1, administration recommends approval of the September 2022 new hires, transfers, and separations report.
Move to approve.
Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? Any out loud discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Administration recommends releasing Jody Geisler, Dean of Students at SMS, from his 22-23 school year contract per his request, effective August 9th, 2022, with the liquidated damages provision enforced.
Move to approve.
Second. Had a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Administration recommends releasing Alicia Acker, I'm not sure if I'm spelling it or pronouncing it right. I apologize. Speech and language pathologist at SMS from her 22-23 school year contract per her request, effective August 10th, 2022, with the liquidated damages provision enforced.
Move to approve.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Administration recommends releasing Molly Johnson, elementary teacher from NLE, from her 2022-23 school year contract per her request, effective August 15th, 2022, with the liquidated damages provision waived.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
The difference here, Molly?
Being transferred.
She fell within one of the reasons of spouse transfer or illness.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Administration recommends releasing Ryan Engstrom, Director of Technology, from his 22-23 school year contract per his request, effective September 9th, 2022, with the liquidated damages provision enforced.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Thanks for everything you've done.
Mhm.
Overall,
Good job, Brian.
you were one that we could always count on no matter what. Sometimes when I was home and there's something wrong with my computer.
It's going to be hard to fill your spot, I can tell you that.
Mhm.
And through the pandemic. Very appreciative.
Good luck, Ryan. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Administration recommends releasing Emily Geisler, science teacher at SMS, from her 22-23 school year contract per her request, effective August 22nd, 2022, with the liquidated damages provision enforced.
Move to approve.
The motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. As a discussion item, we have our meet and confer guidelines. Do we have someone who wants to speak directly to that? Is that you, Amy, or
Molly, do you want to speak to this?
Molly?
Well, we kind of talked about this at the last meeting, and it was to review how we want those meetings to run, I guess, and how we want that to work going forward for this next school year.
We consulted with a couple different legal counsel on what meet and confer is, what we can do, what we can't do. So this is just a summary of that consultation from a couple different attorneys. I think one of the misunderstandings at our previous meeting that was clarified through those conversations was these meetings are held in must follow open meeting law, regardless of how many school board attend. So we have to create an agenda, it has to be posted, and we have to follow those guidelines. I think the thought was that a board member or two could just attend like labor management meetings, and that's not the case. So we got that clarification. So I'm bringing that forward for you guys to decide if that's what you want to move forward with.
Who would run the meeting?
Probably be,
But I mean, would it be the committee chair or?
well, it's up, I mean, you guys need to kind of talk through
Determine.
who would attend. I assume it'd probably be a board person who would help to
Yeah,
run that. Yeah. You need to decide
Okay.
who would attend, who would be a part of those meetings.
I just want to say I'm excited to see this move forward because we did, for a couple years ago, before COVID, try to work on if we could have board members attend those labor management meetings, and that didn't seem like a possible route. And then COVID happened and meet and confer. I'm just glad that we're going to be able to have a way for even more transparency. So thank you for working on this document.
Do you guys have a recommendation for who would attend this?
Can it be set up in a way that we can pre-plan these meetings just like we would the board meetings, and we can sign up, and since it's open meeting, it doesn't matter if 1 or 7 of us show up, but at least we know at least someone is going, and even whoever wants to volunteer to fill the spot.
The other piece also is recommendation is we don't just do this with the teacher group, we do this with all employee
It has
groups.
to be
So,
everybody.
yeah, so there'd be 4 different groups that we would schedule those with.
And it would have to follow that, like,
Yep.
discuss a rigid agenda.
Yep, so I guess my recommendation is we'd send out a notice to that employee group saying this meeting's coming up, what agenda items would you like to add? And if they fall within the parameters of what you can do for meet and confer, we would build that and then post that, and then that's my understanding of how the process,
Yeah, there's a set of rules of what can and cannot be discussed.
which we tried to articulate there on that bottom paragraph there.
You probably set them all up, all 4, the 4 groups you say?
Yep.
Set them up right at the beginning of the year here, and.
Well, I kind of have them
Time to,
spaced out a little bit.
well, I'm not saying have all the meetings this.
Oh, okay.
Set it up now.
Yeah.
Space it through
That we could
the year.
schedule it. I was thinking we'd start maybe November, do a couple before Christmas, maybe a couple after Christmas, something like that. It's helpful if we do it before we bring any handbook changes. So if there's any handbook changes that have to happen, we can make those before March, for example. So,
I think it's great that we can, 7 of us can have the opportunity to meet every department and every group of staff.
Wondering if we need any further clarification around, particularly the district and the school board will appoint representatives to represent the school district in these meetings. And so,
the way it's been, my recommendation would be that people who've been involved in labor management probably would be the same people who would attend these meetings. So typically it's been Molly and Shannon and Crystal and some of the other, and it might even depend on what the agenda items are.
Right.
So if there's a specific topic, we make sure that those administrators are present at those meetings.
What would the 4 groups be? What,
Administrators, teachers, support staff, professional staff.
is there a, like a director administrator that can lead each one?
Not really.
Okay.
They all kind of have their hands in different aspects of the groups. But it might, like I said, it might depend on what the agenda items are as to who might
Either.
need to be at that meeting. So I'm hearing us say, send out some sort of schedule ahead of time and you guys can sign up and attend as,
Yeah,
And it can be all of us if we want,
yeah.
because it's open. All right.
I think that way, if somebody sees nobody sign up, somebody can just sign up for it and be a part of it. And then also bring that back to the rest of the board, whichever board members don't attend on a board meeting.
yeah, that would be recommended. You add that to your board report, I would assume.
Yep, like
Yeah.
reports by
Yeah.
other members of the board.
Yeah.
I think we may want to work towards some more clarification on role.
Yeah.
So what is the role of administration? What is the role of the school board member? What behaviors are conducive to this and what are not? Because if we don't do that, and I think that's the same for kids when we're teaching them to have expectations of what is it that we're doing in that meeting? Are we listening? If they're listening sessions, then are we listening? Is there back and forth? So are we going to govern by the same rules we have? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
So if there's a way that we as a board can agree upon, not necessarily who's going, but what conduct are we agreeing on? Like what role are we fulfilling in that meeting?
I would think as a board member,
We actually haven't defined it though.
Well, I know, I'm just, as discussion here, I think as a board member, it would be almost a strictly listening.
That's-
So none of us are making any decisions for the entire board. We can all bring it back and
Mhm.
hear it in a session as this. But it's mostly listening and hearing what the good or the bad or whatever it is they bring to us, then reporting back.
Would it also be note taking then and because we have to publish then
Mhm. You
the
have to
meeting
follow the
minutes?
meeting minutes, yep.
So when we sign up, even if all of us wanted to attend, the person that signs up, is that the person that's going to be playing Len per se at those meet and confer meetings then?
I don't know.
That would be agreeable.
Shit.
That would be agreeable.
Yeah.
You sign up, you're
Makes
gonna
sense.
get you
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
Let's lead the meeting.
What then would be the process of the administrators who are there serving in that role? Because typically in the past, you've reported back to us on your interpretations, your experiences. So would we take turns? Would we, I don't want to count on, I want to know exactly how we're going to do this because I think it's really important. So does the
I'll
board
just-
want to agree to?
Well, I'll give you a recommendation from what I've seen in the past. So if 2 or 3 board members participate in a committee like that, we would ask that they bring it up at the next and all 3 of them share out their takeaways from that meeting.
Sounds good.
Does that make sense? So it wouldn't be just on one person to report back, but I think everybody could share.
And we'd still be able to hear from the people you mentioned in administration that would be, they're appointed to facilitate the meeting.
Say if an administrator wants to report on the same thing, they can report to us as well.
Part of my concern with meeting minutes is, and it's different for everyone, right? So like I might take notes differently than another board meeting. And these are, as we said, listening sessions. Some of it might be sensitive. I just would want to know guidelines around note taking so that we're not outing any staff that.
Well,
Or
part of it
employees.
is, part of meet and confer, it can't be someone's specific, like, my understanding is if someone has a specific concern regarding their, like, let's say a medical leave, that's not the place for that's
Mhm.
not an agenda item.
Say it's a budget for an entire department.
I think you would document the conversation that happened around that.
Okay, and then will they be posted online just like our other agendas so folks can go back? Okay.
We would follow our open meeting law process.
Totally open, can public, when you say open,
Yep,
That's what it
everybody can
says.
attend.
will it be videotaped, just like these meetings?
Um,
Because that's,
for you guys to
I
decide.
mean, that, I'm just saying that would take away any issue about,
Note taking.
and if board members that couldn't make it or didn't go, they could always watch it on.
Sure.
How much work does it take to get the camera set up?
I think it's doable,
The new Ryan will figure that out.
yeah, which is not here. Okay, so we'll send out a schedule.
Add roles and expectations.
We'll define roles. And yeah,
And then just add to the regular meeting agendas for the month after November and February, like update on these committees. So it's in like if we already have templates or something, so that it'll be in there, we don't forget.
Okay.
Great.
So with an update of this, with roles and everything else we talked about, we can agree on that next week, next month.
maybe next month. Yeah. But other things I'm thinking about, there's other committees. I'm looking at Steve, maybe Brooke too, like you guys sit on some of those other committees as representatives of the board. We should just make sure those committee updates are also on the agenda,
Right.
like the foundation and stuff. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So just so we're consistent across those. Okay, I think I have direction.
Any other discussion at all? Okay, hearing none, that concludes my report, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Mike. Next up, we have the Budget and Insurance Committee with Brooke.
Yes. We've got one action item, no discussion items, and one informational item. The action item is gifts, grants, and bequests.
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
What will the Indian Ed funding be used for? I'm guessing Carrie's got a plan.
Yep, I can share that next. We're meeting, we have our first meeting next Tuesday, so we'll get a little more clarity around that. It's pretty exciting.
Yes, thank you. Very exciting.
What is the transition readiness grant?
I think I know what it is, but I don't want to say it unless I'm for sure, so I will find out and email you.
Can you bring it next week?
Yeah, I can bring, okay, I can bring it next week. I don't want to just say something out.
You know where all that money is going?
What's that?
You know where all the money is going?
That's why I just asked Carrie.
Yeah,
She's gonna
Carrie,
let us know.
You know, it's not necessarily that I see all of the grants because they are specifically. So like Carrie has the transition readiness. I believe is doing the social workers, but I will get back to you.
Any further discussion?
Thank you.
Yes, big thank you, for sure. Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, all opposed? Motion carries. We have no discussion items. We have one informational item here, Fund 10 expenditure report.
Yeah, it's really hard to give a revenue and expenditure report this time of year until we get to about that October 15th. So this is
Yeah.
just a snippet of information. This money is still, budgets are still kind of moving around a little bit. As you can see, we didn't give a revenue budget because we're still taking in revenues. The revenue just came in last week and the governor announced that money. So it is really hard to kind of get a snapshot. We don't have any salaries included on here. As we get closer to that October deadline, we will be able to have more updated information.
Can you explain the significance of third Friday count?
If the credit count is the impact, that's what drives the revenue limit. The revenue limit is the student count. So as we get that information in, right now it's an estimate. I use an estimated number based off of what Casey tells me and other information. So once we have that finalized number, we'll have a solid, we can finish everything up.
So how many students are in their seats on the third Friday is an important day.
Day after, day before too, we can count.
Any other discussion? All right, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Brooke. Next, we got the Operations Committee, Steve Pack,
I'm,
gonna-
okay, I'll take it. Yep.
tough one.
All right, so for the Operations Committee, I have no action items, no discussion items, but I'm excited that we have one informational item, which is transportation, an update from Director David C. on the bus driver appreciation.
So I just put it on there because Steve Stupak actually seen us. We were at the racetrack on Friday. We had a bus driver appreciation day at the racetrack. It originally started when I first came in. We actually used it as a recruiting tool. And now we gave like 30 to 40 backpacks and school supplies. They did some kind of cool fun drive. And then we drove the bus around the track a few times and that terrified him. So
The hydrogen one or what?
there's one video and it was me doing this.
Any drifting into the corners?
Yeah, well, we had a drag, one of our drivers is a drag racer.
Nice.
She's drive next year. But it was good. We had lots of smiley kids and did a bunch of laps around there. Since I'm up here, we made it through the beginning of the year. Our goal was not to have anybody cry this year. Nobody cries.
Wow.
Did all right. So,
Nice.
thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, David,
Thank
the
you.
three Y Camp bus drivers, I think there are school district drivers too.
Four of them.
Yeah, they were amazing. The kids just had such a good experience to and from camp. They did great.
The drivers love it.
Yeah.
Man is one guy.
Yeah. They must.
Good connections to those kids at camp. Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they do.
Never heard them talk about bus drivers so much. It was great. So, Mr. President, that concludes my report.
All right, thank you. All right, next up, we have the Legislative Committee. Ed.
All right, we have no action items, no discussion items, 3 informational items. The first one, Governor announces release of 90 million federal funds for school districts as public schools prepare to begin the upcoming school year facing significant staffing challenges and increased student mental health needs. Governor Evers today announced the release of 90 million in federal funds for Wisconsin school districts. It is important to note that these are one-time funds. You can view the governor's full press release by clicking the link. The second item, September 12th is the deadline to submit comments on proposed changes for our 2 federal Title IX regulations. The U.S. Department of Education proposed rule to modify and amend the federal tax or federal Title IX regulations is currently subject to a public comment opportunity for school districts and other interested parties to submit feedback to influence the final version of the regulations. The deadline for submitting comments on the proposed rule is September 12th, 2022. The last item, state tax collections continue to exceed projections. The new memo from the Nonpartisan Legislative Fiscal Bureau shows tax collections are above the agency's January estimates by 1.6 billion. This continues the trend of an exceptionally healthy state financial picture that will allow the state to invest in K through 12 education and other priorities in the 2023 to 2025 state budget if policymakers decide to do so.
Can I add one thing?
Sure can.
We have been working with Neola, who is the agency that helps to monitor our policies and give us recommendations for updates as statutes and laws change. There's a handful of recommendations, so we'll be reaching out to you to talk through next steps with some of those changes that need to happen based on Neola's recommendations. So
You could always tell when Kelly was going through those
Yeah.
because it'd be pages of
yeah,
policy.
there's a
But good.
lot, but I don't know if all of them apply to our policies. But that's the work that we have to do here in the next month. So I'll be in touch.
And that's all the items.
All right, thanks, Ed. And last, the Teaching and Learning Committee. Steve-O.
No action items, no discussion items. 2 presentations this evening. First, update from Crystal Hinsman, our Director of Curriculum Instruction, and our back to school update.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
As it is every year, it was a very busy back to school time. A couple of highlights in terms of professional development. We had our new teachers come for 5 days of professional development before school started. They did everything from learn how to log into Skyward and Power School to learn about grading and instruction and their curriculum, getting to know their students. So there was a lot going on. Our credit recovery teachers at the high school, the new ones we've hired, they had an additional day of professional development with our digital learning coordinator, Sarah Bianca, and that was fabulous. And they kind of got that extra support. I did want to share with you that in September, kind of as a follow-up to the PD our new teachers got in August, we're going to be taking them to the school forest. So they can do some social emotional learning, team building stuff. In addition to seeing what the school forest is, we found that if new teachers get out there in their first or second year teaching with us, then they're more likely to take their students out there and kind of welcome those field trips and not be nervous about this idea of taking kids to the forest if they don't know what that looks like. So our 40 new teachers have been onboarded and we had a fabulous time getting to know them. August 29th through 31st, as you know, we had our staff development days. We've gotten a lot of good feedback from teachers about how the learning and the PD and the preparation for the year felt being spread out over 3 days. We took the teacher work day this year and divided it in half. So teachers had a half day on Tuesday and a half day on Wednesday, which gave them a little additional time to work in between other meetings and to them feel prepared for the open houses that were on Tuesday night. There was a lot of, positive feedback in the community and of course, recommendations on how we can make that better for next year. And then Danielle mentioned already the PLCs, our professional learning communities, have already started meeting. Those are our teams of teachers at every school that talk about their curriculum, their essential standards, and start to talk about their common formative assessments and instruction right away. I met this morning for the first time this year with all of our elementary art, music, and Phy-Ed teachers. There's some new members to those groups and they got going. So we've had a busy start, but I think there's a lot of positive energy and our teachers and principals worked incredibly hard getting ready for the school year. So lots to celebrate. Any questions?
So you might not know the answer to this, maybe you do. Said we got 40 new teachers that started?
Yeah, 40 plus 2 new interns that are going to be at Great Lakes. Yeah.
Do you know, does that put us at full staff? Are we still lacking somewhere?
We're fully staffed.
Yeah.
And some substitutes?
We still are looking for paraprofessionals. So from a teacher perspective, we're fully staffed, right?
Yep, we hired long-term subs to replace the people that you guys approved tonight. So there were, I think, 4 of them, long-term subs.
Yes.
And there's 9 teachers.
And they, even as kind of being late hires, were able to jump in on the tail end of new teacher training and jump into professional development days on the 29th through 31st. So they just hit the ground running and had to meet new people and get to know their school all at the same time. But yeah, I think we're good.
Do any of the substitutes that get hired go through their back to school courses or anything?
So we do a couple of things, and Amy and Molly can probably chime in on this. I know you guys just did a substitute training. Was that last week?
Friday before school started. I
Okay.
remember.
Okay. We also, last year, for the first time, implemented some substitute, like professional development days throughout the school year. So they could get support on learning about curriculum and instruction, technology. I think we did special ed services, equity.
Behavior.
Yeah, so we did like a couple of topics, and they could pick and choose, like if there's someone who has no experience in some of those things, they could just come to those. Or come to all of them. And then we had different principals, instructional coaches, directors lead those days. So I don't know that we have dates set for this school year yet, but I think we got some really good feedback last year that they had the opportunity to learn and get that training also as subs.
The biggest request we get is around technology support, passwords and use of equipment and things like that.
So we started that for the new subs this year too. When they come in for onboarding, they're meeting with either Nancy or Erin, the tech coaches, to get all the technology stuff. Like a little orientation with them.
I had positive feedback from people who attended the speaker that you all had in the district. I heard it was really phenomenal. So that was exciting. People were talking a lot about that. So.
I
Really.
will agree with that too. I have heard.
Yeah.
There.
Well, yeah, it was a very moving speaker experience, and a lot of people had positive things to say. So thanks for sharing that. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, thanks.
Next, our Director of Early Childhood and Family Education, Jen Willoughby.
Hi, everyone. So this is my time of the year to share all about early childhood in Superior. And we have hit the ground running. We are busier than ever, so I'm excited to be here to share with you. The first thing I guess I wanted to share, I've shared this in a few different pockets of presentations with other stakeholders. But this has always been kind of my go-to of explaining why high quality early childhood is so valuable and so important for all of our kids. So it's a great, it's something that we should be really proud of here in Superior. And our state does a really great job supporting early childhood instruction. But if we focus on the fact that, or I guess if we look at a child as being a tree and we think of what a tree needs to grow and be healthy, it kind of ties this in. So the rain for the tree would be our enriching language. We have lots of print-rich classrooms. So we make sure that there's print all around. We make sure that there's conversations happening with kids, with adults to children, and then children to children. We foster those as well. So we have a lot of language happening in our classrooms. Obviously, we want to make sure that they feel loved and supported and cared for, and that we have a really nurturing environment and educational experience for our kiddos who come to us in 3K and 4K in the district. The soil is their sleep and their nutrition, and I share this with parents a lot. Our littles, who are really little, as Danielle mentioned, they need 10 to 13 hours of sleep every single day, and obviously they need to eat really well. So I do make sure and share that with families. If we give all of those things, they grow really healthy, strong roots, as it tree. And the strong roots are their executive functioning skills. Those are skills that stay with them for the rest of their lives, up through their adulthood. So those skills are your problem solving abilities, your multitasking abilities, the ability to manage and keep a schedule, and be on time to things, the ability to ask your questions and get the answers for them that you're looking for. And then for how to help problem solve or ask for help if you're frustrated. So those self-regulation skills. So if they have really strong roots, they can withstand normal amounts of stress, and that's the wind that hits the trees. If they don't have those strong executive functioning skills, strong wind disrupts them a little bit more. And so it's our job in early childhood to make sure that we're providing all of these things and sharing the importance of these things with families. And then there's pests. So some kids come to us or experience while they're with us toxic stress. So this could be trauma in the home. This could be abuse, alcoholism, violence, economic hardship, things like that. So those things eat away at the roots. So again, high quality early childhood instruction is really beneficial for children, especially if they're in those trauma, those environments of trauma at home. We can help sort of combat that by helping them be strong, healthy trees. So in early childhood, I oversee 4K, 3K, the Family Resource Center, and early childhood special ed. So I'm going to touch a little bit on all of those and just give you some highlights of our year so far. We are in our 17th year, so that's why I say this is really exciting. 17 years of 4K this year. We have 230 4Kers and we are still enrolling. Every single day, I feel like Erin is enrolling more and more students. So she's still working hard on that. And we're trying to get them all placed as quickly as we can, even though school's already started. We're in all 6 elementary buildings. We also have community partners, as we've had since the very beginning of this program. The community partners have shifted a little bit, but we are still partnered up with Family Forum Head Start. There's 2 locations in Superior, Center 1 and Center 2, the YMCA and Cathedral. We are able to offer wrap care at Northern Lights and Cooper because of 3K that we started a couple of years ago, but the Cathedral and YMCA also offer wrap care. Family Forum Head Start offers full day programming for students in the 4K program. However, they need to qualify based on their income guidelines. So that's a really great offering for families who qualify for that service as well. We are using the curriculum Get Set for School in 4K. We piloted it last year, and I talked a little bit about that. We're really excited. This is the first year in 17 years that every single program is using the same curriculum. Head Start's kind of always done their own thing, and so we worked really hard to get everybody on the same one. So that's super exciting. The 4K teachers who work at Head Start are very thankful and excited about that. They don't have to do 2 anymore, or 2 separate things, or be sort of tied between the 2. And then family engagement is one of our requirements with our 4K program for the state funding. We are required to have 87.5 hours of family engagement throughout the year. So we make sure that there's a family night held every month. Our September one will be at the school forest. We always start at the school forest in September just because the weather is beautiful and it gets the families introduced to the school forest. Many of them don't even know that it exists out there. So it's kind of fun to show that. And then I do a newsletter every month, and the teachers do a lot of family engagement things within their classrooms so that we make sure we reach that minimum requirement. 3K, we are in our 3rd year. We have over 60 kids this year. We have doubled our enrollment every year over the past 3 years. So we started with 20, last year we had 40, and this year we have 60. So it is still growing. We are almost full. We've started to be very, very selective of what days are left. Parents will contact us and we'll say, well, this is what we have. So if this works for you, you can have it. So that's exciting. Cooper, we have 2 classrooms there. Northern Lights, we are brand new at Northern Lights, so that is very exciting. We're very happy to be there. We have a beautiful classroom right next to our 4K in the A wing. And we are eagerly anticipating a new playground. It is supposed to be put in later this month, so Bobby has been working tirelessly on that and the coordination for that. So fingers crossed, before the end of September, we will have a fenced-in preschool playground, which will mirror the Cooper playground. So we're very excited about that. Taking little 3-year-olds outside right now without a fence is a lot of manpower to make sure that they're kept safe, but they're really doing phenomenally. As I said before, we're able to offer wrap care with 3K. So we have programming from 7 to 5:30 every day at Northern Lights and at Cooper. And we have over 50 kids in wrap care between 3s and 4s between the 2 schools every day. So that's a lot of bodies that we have, but they do really well. Lunchtime can get a little hairy. We're making it work. We're figuring out the kinks as we move along. And then with 3K, we don't have a set curriculum that we follow. We do a lot of play, and the teachers have a lot of freedom to kind of create their own curriculum and what they want to do. But we do have some connections with the 4K curriculum that they teach a lesson every day that connects to the Get Set for School. And then again, family engagement, all of our 3s are invited and included in on the family engagement that we are required to offer for 4K. Family Resource Center, it is free. It's an offering that's available for families living within the Superior School District with children birth through age 5. We have hospital connections. We got into, or we started that last year. We have little onesies made up with our logo on it and a little card with our contact information that we share with the hospitals. So as new babies are born who reside in Superior, they are sharing those. So that's been really fun. A really nice connection that we've been able to make. It's not easy with all the babies being born in Minnesota, so it's a little tricky, but we figured out how to do that. We have a connection with UW Extension, so they provide a lot of great flyers and information and family engagement or family educational classes that are being offered. So we share those flyers out. So we have a nice connection with them. And we offer free classes and play groups in the mornings. Right now, we're looking for a new family educator. However, I was very excited to see as I pushed out information to the families who are calling to say, when can I sign up? That we're still waiting for, or we're still looking for a morning family educator to offer these classes and play groups. I've had 2 inquiries today, so fingers crossed I will have that position filled soon. But I do have one of my, I have 2 family educators / 3K, 4K leads, and the other one is in the afternoon. She will throw out some book study offerings or parent information, at least in the meantime, till we can get the classes up and running. And early childhood special ed is my last area that I'm going to talk about today. We have one early childhood psych who is new to the team this year. We haven't had a full-time early childhood psych in over 7 years, so I'm very excited about that. So Elsa Leahy joins our team. We have 3 early childhood special ed teachers. We have over 30 students on IEPs between 24 classrooms for 3s and 4s, because we also collaborate with Head Start for our 3-year-old classrooms, their 3-year-old classrooms. And then we have a contract with Birth to 3 to provide services there. So they are busy, they are hopping, but they are phenomenal teachers to work with, and they do a lot for our program. Yeah, child's capacity to learn is a direct result of the environment they're in. If we provide an environment that is thoughtful, inclusive, caring, and responsive, children are much more likely to thrive in their learning. So thank you all. That's
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That does conclude my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Steve. Did we get any comment cards, Ann?
No, I did not.
Any other comments by anybody?
I just wanted to mention, because it hasn't come up at a board meeting, Amy, but I was pleasantly pleased to be connected with the Reimagining Mental Health in Douglas County, and that our district had actually quite a few staff there. And so, I don't know, I just wanted to say thank you to our staff, because we've been talking about this for a long time. And I didn't make it to the last meeting, but 2 meetings before, you know, we had so many staff being involved in that. And we know that's an issue not only in our schools, but in our community. So
There's a lot
Thanks
of
to you.
collaboration happening to try to improve services. The
Mhm.
high school principal there, social workers, and our mental health coordinator, and myself.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for making that a priority. So that just hadn't come up, and I wanted to share the work that our
Okay.
staff's doing.
All right, thank you. There's nothing else then? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Is there gonna, Amy, is there another one coming up, or are they just kind of small groups now?
I had to leave the last meeting about 15 minutes early, so I didn't hear how they concluded the meeting, but
I'll reach out to Liz.
yeah, I think this is ongoing.
Yeah.
So that's-
Attorney.